Morgan Geyser's actions and the circumstances surrounding the infamous Slenderman stabbing in 2014 have fascinated and disturbed many. At just 12 years old, Morgan, alongside her friend Anissa Weir, lured their mutual friend Peyton Leutner into the woods in Waukesha, Wisconsin, and stabbed her 19 times in what they claimed was an attempt to appease the fictional internet character Slenderman. While Peyton miraculously survived, the crime exposed Morgan's deeply rooted mental health issues and her obsession with violent fantasies, revealing a complex interplay of psychological disorders and external influences. Morgan Geyser was described by those who knew her as a bright but peculiar child. She exhibited signs of social withdrawal, a vivid imagination, and difficulty distinguishing fantasy from reality. However, it was not until after the crime that her mental health issues were fully understood. Following her arrest, Morgan was diagnosed with early-onset schizophrenia, a severe mental disorder characterized by hallucinations, delusions, and disorganized thinking. Schizophrenia in children is rare, and its symptoms often overlap with behaviors that may initially appear as typical childhood imagination. For Morgan, her hallucinations began at a young age, but they were dismissed as harmless fantasies. She reported seeing and hearing characters that others could not, including Slenderman and other imagined figures. These hallucinations fueled her belief that Slenderman was real, and that she needed to act violently to gain his favor and protect her family. Morgan's obsession with Slenderman was deeply rooted in her psychological vulnerability. Slenderman, a fictional internet character originating from the creepypasta community, is depicted as a tall, faceless figure who preys on children and manipulates their minds. For Morgan, who already struggled with delusions and an unstable sense of reality, Slenderman became more than just a story. He was a real and omnipotent figure who demanded loyalty. Morgan's immersion in the Slenderman mythos was exacerbated by her isolation and a strong desire for connection. The stories provided her with a sense of belonging to a secret world that felt meaningful and exciting. However, her delusions transformed this fascination into an all-consuming belief that drove her actions. She genuinely believed that Slenderman required a human sacrifice to prove her loyalty and ensure her family's safety. Morgan's attraction to violence was likely a manifestation of her untreated mental illness and her distorted perception of reality. In interviews, Morgan expressed little remorse for her actions, not out of malice, but because she believed she was fulfilling a necessary mission. This detachment from the moral weight of her actions is a hallmark of severe mental illness, particularly schizophrenia, where the line between reality and delusion is blurred. Schizophrenia can impair emotional regulation and social understanding, making it difficult for individuals to grasp the consequences of their actions fully. Morgan's fixation on violence may also have been a coping mechanism, allowing her to channel her fear and confusion into something she could control. Morgan's actions were driven by a combination of internal and external factors. Internally, her schizophrenia created a distorted reality in which Slenderman was a tangible threat and authority figure. Externally, her immersion in Slenderman lore and her friendship with Anissa Weir reinforced her delusions. Anissa, who is not schizophrenic, but also influenced by the Slenderman stories, validated Morgan's beliefs and provided the social reinforcement that propelled the crime forward. Morgan's strange behaviors, such as her calm demeanor following the stabbing and her apparent lack of emotional response, can also be attributed to her mental state. Schizophrenia often affects how individuals process emotions and interact with others, leading to behaviors that may seem cold or disconnected. If you watch her interrogations, she has a noticeable flat affect. You can hear how little tone changes in her responses. A flat voice is a symptom of antisocial personality disorder, autism, and schizophrenia. Morgan's mental illness not only influenced her perceptions, but also limited her ability to make rational decisions. Early onset schizophrenia, in particular, poses unique challenges, as its symptoms often go unnoticed or are misinterpreted as normal childhood quirks. Without proper intervention, these symptoms can escalate into dangerous delusions and behaviors. Morgan's inability to distinguish between reality and fantasy was a defining factor in the crime. Her delusions about Slenderman were so vivid and convincing that they overrode her moral judgment. Additionally, her hallucinations and disorganized thinking made it impossible for her to consider alternative perspectives or question the validity of her beliefs. Morgan has had multiple hearings regarding her potential release. Her most recent behavior does not reflect the mind of a stable person. In January, a judge ruled 22-year-old Geyser is no longer considered a safety risk after hearing testimony from experts, saying she's made considerable progress battling mental illness and should be released. This week, one worker expressed concern about a book Morgan had read called Rent Boy. According to her testimony, it was a violent read, with officials worried because it was a dark novel that revolved around murder and selling body parts on the black market, along with sexual sadism. Morgan claims the book was sent to her in the mail, but wasn't sure by who, while also saying she didn't tell them and didn't feel it was necessary to let them know she read it. The officials have also said Morgan has been communicating with a man who collects and sells murder memorabilia. Morgan ended up sending that same man a postcard in which she said she wanted to be intimate with him. The man had also allegedly visited her 3 times within a 10-day span. Health officials say they only became aware of the man after Morgan requested for the man to no longer have contact with her, when she was granted conditional release. One official said the man sent her a letter after her release was approved. Morgan claims that she ripped it up and threw it away. The official said they looked into the man and found a number of things on his Facebook that pertained to Morgan Geyser that we were concerned about. He had things directly relating to her on his Facebook page. We found there were letters and drawings that she had sent him, a postcard, and he was selling them. He was selling the items. The drawings were described as very dark in nature and a horror-type picture. One of the photos was shown during the hearing, depicting some sort of figure or creature which had been decapitated. The items were allegedly being sold as part of the man's Slenderman package. Morgan's lawyer initially tried to argue nobody knew whether the memorabilia actually came from Morgan, or if the man was just saying it was. That's when he was informed Morgan already admitted that she sent him drawings and was aware he was selling them. So she did know. Morgan also said that she knew the man would get sexual gratification from her index defense, adding that the two had written letters back and forth to each other. Her lawyer argued Morgan didn't know he would get off on her crime when she first said she wanted to be intimate with him, and insinuated she cut off contact with him when his creepy desires became apparent. He also pointed out there's no evidence Morgan herself was trying to profit off of her past crimes. It would be an unsettling sight to see Morgan Geyser free. She seems to be repeating the exact same behavior she was displaying when she was 12. Morgan Geyser is a wild card, and her thoughts, feelings, and next move will always be impossible to understand.